In this video, we'll be exposing the 8 steps students should follow to teach themselves Algebra 1. In addition, we'll be discovering how much of time you should devote for each subject. So if you want to study and prepare yourself for Algebra 1, this is the best video to watch. Step 1. Solving equations and inequalities. The first step that we'll begin within our process of self-teaching Algebra 1 is to learn to solve equations and inequalities. In other words, you will be solving the equation like this example. These equations are easy and not complex to understand. You just have to read the lesson and follow well with the instructor. Let's have an example to understand more about what are equations and inequalities. So let's solve the equation that we mentioned before. Let's put it in a real example. This is an example of a problem solved using equations and inequalities. So this was the simple example used to learn the Algebra 1 equation course. Learning equations will be simple if you implement them to solve issues like the example you've seen. You will also go further and try to solve some equations that are a little bit difficult by having variables on both sides like this example below. Normally at this stage, you learn the basics of the basics in order to solve the simple equations of the Algebra 1 course. Step 2. Understanding using units, 15 to 20 hours. The second step to teaching yourself Algebra 1 is to learn how to use some units, like learning how to measure volumes and surfaces. Also, learn how to implement them in some calculations like rates, divisions, and multiplications. For instance, in this step, you will learn how to calculate the volume of a pool. So you will discover some new units like meter, liters, and kilograms. This course is easy and doesn't require so much work as the previous one on equations and inequalities. Or, also determine the volume of water you need to fill a pool. Dealing with units is not hard if you understand well a lesson. Step 3. Linear equations and graphs, 20 to 25 hours. In the third step, things will become serious a little bit when you start learning to solve double variable equations and also plot some linear graphs. This step requires you to be good at solving the first equation types that we explained in the first example. Also, the solid basics in arithmetic, especially multiplications. In this case, you will be plotting function in a Cartesian coordinate system. This step is not complicated, it just requires being good to memorize the multiplication tables. Because if you don't, you will seriously struggle and make a lot of mistakes in this step. Step 4. Functions, 40 to 50 hours. You will discover a new mathematics term in Algebra 1, which is function. In the beginning, you will find functions hard to understand, but that is normal. You just have to need some time and put some effort to absorb the subject. The hardest thing in function Algebra 1 is to be used at the beginning to new signs or variables like x, as you can see, and know how to apply them. Especially for students who are taking Algebra 1 in the 7th grade, or even those in the 8th grade. Other than that, everything is doable and easy unless you studied and understood how to solve the first-degree equations that we explain in the first example. Sequences are very important in the banking domain and economics. So in this stage, you will learn and discover just the basics of how to implement them in use cases. But in general, sequences can be tough for people who have poor analysis skills. It is not a technical subject more than is analytical. As a result, one needs a good understanding of a problem or exercise before starting to respond. Step 6. Exponents and radicals, 40 to 50 hours. In the exponent and radical numbers, you will learn how to use and simplify complex operations by using exponent numbers. In exponents and radicals, you will learn how to simplify numbers and put them in science an abbreviated way, for instance. This method helps to reduce a lot of complexity and simplify mathematics numbers. In addition, in this step, you will learn how to make operations on these complex numbers. Step 7, Quadratics 80 to 100. The toughest step that we're going to discover is to learn quadratics, which is based on simplifying functions, especially polynomials. Let's explain in the example. In these steps you will test all you have studied in the previous courses, especially you will test your arithmetics level. All the hard work you have done by teaching yourself Algebra 1 is going to be tested and evaluated. If you understood quadratics, it means you got good preparations. If not, you have to go back and check what did you miss in the previous topics we mentioned previously. 8. Irrational numbers. Irrational numbers are a very interesting math signification or topic that you will need or carry on with you or prepare for Algebra 2. Irrational numbers are numbers that are written in this form. Irrational numbers have solid relations with fractions. So understanding fractions remain a solid base or a fuel to understand rational numbers, especially when we talk about making conversions. If you want detailed information, you will find the full link article in the description below. If you like our content, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to get the latest tips videos about school, college and careers. So see you soon.